Today, we're going to talk about, as you can see here, the human touch in the autonomous coding era. Um, just a little bit before we dive in, my name is Dana Finnegan. I'm the Director of Market Strategy at MDaudit. I've been with MDaudit almost 8 years. Little bit about MDaudit as they are sponsoring this webinar is MDaudit is a best-in-class revenue integrity and billing compliance platform. We have hundreds of clients with a nationwide footprint. We help those clients mitigate risk, maximize revenues, and really recognize healthy financial outcomes through AI, analytics, and integrated workflows. So really happy to be with you today. Just a quick FYI, some housekeeping items. You will receive this deck post-webinar. You'll also receive the recording post-webinar. And there'll be a short survey at the end. If you wouldn't mind taking that, we'd appreciate it. It really will just allow you to give some feedback about the webinar and also tell us what you may want to see in future webinars as we do these monthly. So again, to kind of talk about autonomous coding and AI, we are very excited about all of this great technology. MDaudit is a big proponent of autonomous coding and AI. But one of the things we really want to highlight before we jump into a quick little demonstration that we're going to give is, we always advocate that humans are in the loop when you're doing in choosing your autonomous coding and AI capabilities. And these are really three different aspects that the human really needs to be in the loop when dealing with that type of advanced technology. So the first one is you need to build a strong data foundation. So even before there's any deployment of AI models, you want to make sure that it's overlaying all of the critical data at your organization. Now, today we're going to have a specific focus on billing and denial data and claims data. But when we talk about data, we mean all of your billing data, all of your denial data, other claims data. You're also your patient care data, your clinical data. And not only do you have to have all of that data in the right place, being interrogated by the AI and autonomous coding, but you have to make sure that the technology is capable of continuously assessing risks in real time in really handing it directly to the folks that need that information. So that could be anyone along the revenue cycle continuum, people in patient access at the front, coding that's in the middle, and revenue cycle that's in the back. So again, we're very, very quick to want to deploy the technology, but we have to constantly make sure that it's consuming the right data and giving the insights it needs to many, many different people within that revenue cycle and revenue integrity continuum. It's a very complex interplay between providers, coders, billers, payers, and others. So again, before that deployment, make sure you've got all of your data being able to be run through those models effectively. The second thing is continuous training. So this is something that I kind of learned as this has started to become a really big trend in our world. Was it's not just deployed and trusted, 110%. End users should always have the ability to train the AI in real time. They should also be able to provide immediate feedback, input. There are abilities, and MDaudit has this, to mark data if it is inaccurate. This allows the AI models not only to learn over time through your feedback, but if you're able to point out this is inaccurate data or maybe even unsafe data, it won't amplify those findings at scale. So that there always has to be continuous training and eyes on that AI. It doesn't just deploy and work perfectly on its own. I know that seems very simple, but we can really fall into a lull that the AI and autonomous coding is doing everything perfectly. Again, I'm not maligning this technology at all. We're really excited about it at MDaudit. We have technology like this at MDaudit that we're really excited about, and our users are using quite successfully, but keeping these thoughts in mind. And I think that the most important one, and two and three can blend a little bit, but it's properly governing the AI and autonomous coding. So once it really starts to work and you're seeing those positive results, you have to always make sure that you're doing some QA. So in other words, you want to make sure that is it applying updated code sets? Is it really understanding new regulatory requirements? So that just doesn't happen by trust. That happens by choosing sample size of your billing and claims that have gone out the door and making sure whether a coder coded those claims or autonomous coding and AI coded those claims, that you're checking that on a regular basis. So I mean, a lot of this is it may seem 101 for autonomous coding and AI, but really when we've gone into many different organizations, it's a learning process. So these are really three tenets to make that a very successful venture. We're actually going to get into our demo environment in a moment to show you how technology can help you govern and even audit some of that autonomous coding that's going out the door, or even if it's a coder coding some of that as well, because you want to have oversight over autonomous coding as well as your coders. Um, I think this was a really interesting case, and you'll be able to grab this as we send you the deck, but we had a really positive situation with one of our MDaudit customers. They had been deploying a lot of powerful coding technology, but through regular governance and QA, in really a partnership with that autonomous coding and AI, they were able to identify an incorrect rule that was firing within their autonomous coding system that incorrectly undercoded drug units that were administered that actually could have resulted in a $25 million loss in revenue. They found that the units going out were quite undercoded because of misfiring rule. Because this client and this organization had the right stop gaps in place, the right QA in place, the right governance in place, and in those other three tenets that I mentioned on the previous page, this was caught almost immediately. So it could have resulted in millions of lost revenues, but they were able to stop that and recoup because of that governance. And you'll get this to read a little bit more about it. So we want to make sure that we're doing the little things to make this work, because again, $25 million is a lot of dollars at stake. Couple of things that I want to mention is from our MDaudit benchmarking report. If you contact us, we can provide you this report as well. But we were able to see in our 2024 benchmark report that when we were auditing coders themselves that were applying those codes, more than 50% of coders that were audited in the MDaudit community, and that's hundreds and hundreds of organizations nationwide auditing their coders and having them take place in rebuttals. Almost 60% of coders failed audits with inaccurate integrity and accuracy scores. That's probably somewhere below 95%. So there's still a lot of mistakes being made, even by the human coders. Now, we understand that's a hard job. It's really hard to keep really good coders, but they have flaws too. They have a tough job. So we always want to be, again, auditing our coders, our human coders, and our autonomous coding and AI. Another statistic that I wanted to show was in the 2024 benchmarking report, we also saw that coding related denials, very specifically coding related denials, not patient access, not back-end denials, but coding specific. Year over year, 2023 to 2024, we saw a 126% increase in coding specific related denials. And if you see the breakdown below, on the pro fee side, it was up 24%, outpatient 33%, and a whopping 219% on the inpatient side. So again, very important to audit your coders and autonomous coding, both prospectively and retrospectively. That's another thing MDaudit really advocates, is when you're auditing this, you want to do it both prospectively and retrospectively. Adopt a blend. Prospectively is the holy grail because you can stop this stuff that you're seeing on this screen from happening before the bill goes out the door. One last thing I would show down in the lower section is already in 2025, just already we see coding related denials increasing by 11%. And you can see the breakout by pro fee, hospital outpatient, and hospital inpatient. So this is a trend that is continuing. So despite the awesome technology we're always excited about, we're all excited about, and your coders that are working hard and really skilled folks, we still need to QA and audit what's going out the door, both prospectively and retrospectively. What I want to do right now, folks, is I'm going to jump into my platform and we're going to do a really, really quick, it's going to be about 10 minutes of a demonstration of how technology can help you audit autonomous coding and AI, applying that coding, as well as human coders. This can work for both of those use cases. So what I'm going to go and do right now is just go in and we're going to do a quick audit, high level. And I promise you, I'm not here to sell this to you. I'm here to say that, whether it's MDaudit or other technology, please use it to have some governance over what is going out the door. Again, both prospectively and retrospectively. So we're going to do a DRG audit. I'm just putting in a title. I'm going to quickly choose my group, and I'm going to assign this to myself, Dana. So I'm setting up this DRG audit. I want to see all of my coders in autonomous coding that has coded a DRG. And you know what? We'll do sepsis because we know that's being highly scrutinized by the OIG. Now, again, in any good system, you want to be able to flip between, do I want to do a pre-bill audit or a post-bill audit? We accommodate both. We really strongly suggest a blend of both. For today, we're going to do a retrospective audit to keep it simple. Something else I'm going to do is hit coders. This is going to allow me that when I'm done auditing any coder that's touched sepsis-related claims, it will send it to those coders directly in real time so they can do a review and a rebuttal. And again, I'm saying coders. If this was coded by an autonomous coding engine, we can do the same thing. So I'm going to hit continue, and we're going to get right into the meat of it. I'm going to put in my dates of service that I want this to apply to. I can put in any dates of service I want. I can go back. I can go just a day before. But I'm going to put in those dates of service. I am then going to put in a certain claim type. You should obviously any technology should allow you to audit your coding on the prophy side and the facility inpatient and outpatient side. I'm going to choose hospital. And then I'm just going to quickly go in and say, show me where the DRG, because I'm really concerned about my sepsis-related DRG, and I'm going to say you're in this list, 870, 871, and 872. And I'm also going to put a clause in that says, show me where the coder name, and this is a little technical, but you'll get it, is not null. That just means I want to know, and technically that says I want to know any coder that touched these specific DRGs. And once I hit these arrows, folks, the system is going to churn and immediately find me 22 claims that were billed for sepsis-related DRGs that coders actually touched them between these dates of service. So I've got 22. I'm going to put in a nice sample size of 10, a truly random sample. I'm going to hit continue, and I'm going to create that audit. So what I've done, first of all, is just automated that whole data pull so I know exactly the coders or the autonomous coding engines that touch these sepsis-related DRGs. Now we're going to go in and do a quick audit and send it to the coder so they can do a review and rebuttal. So let's pull up those cases. They're about to appear. System's pulling them for me. And there we go. I've got my sample size of 10. And I'm actually going to go into one of these claims. And again, remember, I'm saying claims. This should be absolutely be able to accommodate it on the pre-bill side as well. So right now, folks, I have a nice view of what went out on this claim, all of my diagnosis codes, my DRG, my admitting diagnosis. I can audit stuff at the revenue code line plus units and charges. If this was an outpatient claim or a pro fee claim, I'd have CPTs and modifiers to audit. And all of that other stuff I may want to audit, like admit type, admit source, discharge status, it's all there to be audited. This is what went out on the claim. But if I go to the extra fields, I can see who coded it. At the end of the day, MDaudit has the ability to match up the claims with who coded them. Again, whether that's a human coder or an autonomous engine, it will be listed there. Now I'm going to do one little thing here. I'm just going to switch to this coder because that's my name and I want to send it to me so I can act as the coder. But what you've seen so far is just an ability to pull that sample size. And now we're going to go in and audit this coder. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to agree with a bunch of stuff that was coded. That when I hit agree, that met the highest levels of accuracy and integrity. But I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to edit this DRG. I'm going to go in and say, you know what? That was without a vent. I'm going to go in and say, when I added up that vent hours, it really did have a vent. So I'm going to go in and put that, and I'm going to say that my original billing was a potential underpayment. And I can put some notes in for my coder. This is very important, the ability to put notes in here and comments so the coder can see why you made that change and rebut it. Now, I'm going to hit save, and that's going to turn it red. I'm going to do one other thing here. I'm going to change a diagnosis code, that COPD. I'm also going to say, hey, coder, I feel like that didn't meet the highest levels of accuracy and integrity. So I am going to say it wasn't a J44.0. It was a J44 point. Let's put something else in there. We're going to say 0.9 was more specific. I'm going to tell my coder that I disagree with their assessment, and I'm going to put in those notes again that I want them to see. And I'm going to hit save. So really at the end of the day, we've gone in and agreed with some stuff that was coded, and we've disagreed with a couple of things in red. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it from a new status into a completed status. And you're going to see I get a pop-up that says, hey, do you want to send this to the coder to do a review or a rebuttal? And I'm going to say yes. And we're going to save and close this and really get out of it. But you're going to see the really cool part. The system's going to engender real-time dialogue between auditor, which is what I just did now, audit that coder, and pass it to the coder. So what you're seeing in my screen is immediately it sent it for coder review. Now I can go to my coder review dashboard. This is where the coder can actually come in and access MDaudit. And you can see here, I've got a bunch of things as the coder that I have to go in and really review and rebut. So I'm going to go into the DRG audit for sepsis we just did. As the coder, I can go in and review the findings that the auditor had. And what's nice is you're able to come in as the coder. Again, we're putting on our coder hat, and it's going to show where there was disagreements, where this J44.0 was changed to a 44.9. And I've got all of the auditor's comments. Here's where I change the 871 to an 870 and have all of the comments. Now, as a coder, I can go in and give it a green thumbs up or red thumbs down, whether I agree or disagree. So let's agree with the first one and disagree with the second one. I'm going to go in and say, I agree. Now, as the coder, I can go in and say, I agree. Now, I have my next piece that I have to go in and rebut. And that's going to show me, again, where the 871 was changed to 870 and all of the comments the auditor made. In this case, as the coder, I'm going to say, I still disagree. And anything I want to say back to the auditor. Now, I'm done with that rebuttal as the coder, so I'm going to hit save and close. And I can now see that I agreed with one, I disagreed with the other change by the auditor, and I'm going to hit coder review complete. And that is going to send it right back to the auditor. Now, as the auditor, I'm going to go in and I'm going to see what that coder had to say. So you're seeing, although I'm playing both parts, folks, as the auditor and coder, the system, and any good system, should be able to engender that real-time dialogue, both pre-bill and post-bill. And if you can work with us, for example, pre-bill, again, is that holy grail. So we're going to go in now and we're going to see coder review is complete. That's good. Let's go in and see what it looks like when technology can engender that real-time dialogue. So if you remember, green, folks, is where we agreed with what was coded. Red is where we had a disagreement. Now, when I receive this back from the coder, green is a friendly color. It's going to mean they agreed with my diagnosis change, but they are still not happy with the fact that I made that change to the DRG because it's a red call-out bubble. I'm going to go in and take a look at that dialogue now. So you can see from left to right what has happened, meaning coder coded in 871. I changed it to an 870. I said I disagree, that was a potential underpayment, and I gave them a lot of information as to why I made that change. And now the coder has come back and given me a red thumbs down and say, hey, I still disagree. So if you really look left to right, we did this in about 5 minutes. That's how a system should be able to engender that real-time dialogue. And now I, as the auditor, can go back and reply if I want, if I feel like I want to continue this conversation real time. But maybe I read what that coder has to say and say they are spot on. And I can go in and change that to the 871. So again, folks, I could even escalate this if I want to someone that can come in and solve when I can't get on the same page as the coder. But again, left to right really is what we want you to see as possible in just a few clicks. To take it back to what we were talking about, we can't just blindly trust, and I know most of us don't, but we can't just blindly trust what's being coded by human coders or autonomous coding engines. You want to have this ability to go in after the fact or even pre-bill and see what is happening. Now, obviously, an autonomous coding engine can't do a rebuttal, but you could still go in and pull a sample size of what's being coded by those autonomous engines and give it a gut check. This is what we call, it's one way of QAing and having governance over those very sophisticated systems. So, promise that was going to be short. I would say the last thing I'd want to show is when you're doing these audits of coders and autonomous coding engines and AI, you should also have the ability to pull up real-time dashboards that will help you understand how things are going. Meaning, it can immediately show you what you're unearthing, as well as helping you drill down to maybe root cause of those coders that are doing really great with accuracy and integrity, and maybe those that are not. So what you're seeing here is a bunch of dashboards that MDaudit can create out of the box for you that'll populate as you're doing your coder audits. And it's showing a lot of important things like DRGs with underpayments and overpayments, ICT procedures you're disagreeing with. But the bottom line is I can immediately come in and we're all concerned about revenue leakage here with underpayments and maybe clawbacks with overpayments. But if I easily come in here, I can see I had several issues with the 794 neonate code that are being habitually underpaid. I'm going to want to be able to immediately drill down and get to the coders' names that are causing that issue. Now, I don't have coders in my system. I'm just going to quickly type in attending provider, but you could type in coder when you have real coders coding, and it's going to drill down and show you exactly who is responsible for some of those errors. So at the end of the day, not only should you be auditing your coders and your autonomous coding engines, but have these insights at your fingertips to ensure what's going good and maybe what's not going so good. And you can see here, I now know the coder that was habitually responsible for those DRG underpayments with the neonate 794 DRG. These are little report cards that can be run to show how your autonomous coding and your human coding population is doing across facilities, across specialties, and so on. So folks, we really appreciate you joining. I'm going to take questions now. But at the end of the day, just wanted to say that make sure when you're deploying this type of technology that you are governing it and you're QAing it and you're finding out where the kinks are and giving that feedback not only to your human coders, but to build your autonomous coding engines and AI to be more specific and accurate and constantly training them. So what I want to do now, folks, is here's, you can see the poll's been launched. So please go ahead and answer that. And I'm actually going to go in and look at some questions that have been posed to answer those in the last 5 minutes we have here. And I've got one that says, and this was what we talked about. Can MDaudit identify when claims have been coded and touched autonomously? Yes. So MDaudit, again, can first of all, I should say we have the ability, we do a scoping exercise where we can go in and find out where your coders are coding and abstracting and actually touching those claims. And we can match up those claims and pre-bill charges as well with who coded them. And that would also apply to autonomously coded claims. So we have the ability to go in there and match that up through a very sophisticated scoping exercise. But when you come into our platform, it will tell you who coded it. And therefore you can do, or they can do a review and rebuttal real time with you. The second one said, how does MDaudit know who coded these claims? Kind of a similar question, but again, that's through the scoping exercise. And again, we can go into any system. It could be a 3M system. It could be any system where they're actually touching those claims and apply our logic to match the claims up with who coded them. The last one says, does MDaudit work with all billing systems and EMRs? So yes, MDaudit is all of our technology is agnostic to EMRs. We work with all of them: Epic, Cerner, Allscripts, anyone you name it, IDX. We work with all of them, and as long as that those standard claims and remittance advices, everything you saw today will work perfectly. So, folks, we want to give you a couple of minutes back. We appreciate you joining. Hopefully you took the survey, and please let us know what you thought about today. And we're happy to see you next month. We'll be sending out some invites for next month's webinar, and maybe we'll pick something from the list that you provided us. So again, thank you very much for your time. And again, always be QAing and governing your autonomous coding in AI, and make sure you have workflows in place to be able to do what you saw today, to go and audit those both prospectively and retrospectively to make sure that you're billing compliantly and maximizing revenues. All right, folks, thanks very much and have a great day.